Hi, this is Q with marijuana.gq. Hi there. I'm going to be going over some stats here. This is a WashingtonPost.com blog, and really it's about marijuana and how unjustified and how cruel this anti marijuana or cannabis prohibition has been on regular folks, that have done just, nothing wrong except for simply having a joint or what have you on them. Okay, police arrest more people for marijuana use than for all violent crimes combined. On any given day in the United States, at least 137,000 people sit behind bars on simple drug possession charges, according to a report released Wednesday by the American Civil Liberties Union and Human Rights Watch. Nearly two-thirds of them are in local jails. The report says that most of these jailed inmates have not been convicted of any crime. They're sitting in a cell awaiting a day in court and appearances that may be months or even years off because they can't afford to post bail. It's been 45 years since the war on drugs was declared, and it hasn't been a success. Lead author Tess Borden of Human Rights Watch said in an interview, quote, "Rates of drug use are not down. Drug dependency has not stopped. Every 25 seconds, we're arresting someone for drug use," unquote. Federal figures on drug arrests and drug use over the past 3 decades tell the story. Drug professional arrests skyrocketed from fewer than 200 arrests for every 100,000 people in 1979 to more than 500 in the mid-2000s. The drug possession rate has since fallen slightly, according to the FBI, hovering around near 400 protests per 100,000 people. Defenders of harsh penalties for drug possession say they are necessary to deter people from using drugs and to protect public health. But despite the tough on-crime push that led to the surge in arrests in recent decades, illicit drug use today is more common among Americans aged 12 and older than it was in the early 1980s. Federal figures show no correlation between drug possession arrests and rates of drug use during that time. There's a chart history here. It depicts charting out the meandering course of the drug war. It shows stats for drug possession arrests versus past year's illicit drug use from the years 1979 to 2015. You'll find that in the link. But the ACLU and Human Rights Watch report shows that arrests for drug possession continues to make up a significant chunk of modern-day police work. Around the country, police make more arrests for drug possession than for any other crime, unquote, this report finds, citing FBI data. More than 1 in every 9 arrests by state law enforcement is for drug possession, amounting to more than 1.25 million arrests each year. In fact, police make more arrests for marijuana possession alone than for all violent crimes combined. Wow. The report finds that the laws are enforced unequally too. Over their lifetime, black and white Americans use illicit drugs at similar rates, according to federal data, but black adults were more than 2.5 times as likely to be arrested for drug possession. We can't talk about race and policing in this country without talking about the number 1 arrest offense, Borden says. The report calls for decriminalizing the personal use and possession of drugs, treating it as a public health matter instead of a criminal one. Rather than promoting health, criminalization can create new barriers to health for those who use drugs, the report says. Criminalization drives drug use underground. It discourages access to emergency medicine, overdose prevention services, and risk-reducing practices such as syringe exchanges. The report reinforces its point by noting the lengthy sentences handed down in some states for possession of small amounts of drugs. For example, it sketches the history of Corey J. Ladd, who was arrested for possessing half an ounce of marijuana during a 2011 traffic stop in New Orleans. Because he had convictions for 2 prior offenses involving the possession of small amounts of hydrocodone and LSD, he was sentenced in 2013 to 17 years in prison as a quote-unquote habitual offender. He is currently appealing the sentence to Louisiana Supreme Court. Corey's story is about the real waste of human lives, let alone taxpayer money, of arrest and incarcerating for personal drug use, Borden said. He could be making money and providing for his family, unquote. But Ladd's treatment is far from the harshest drug possession sentence uncovered by the ACLU and Human Rights Watch researchers who conducted analysis of arrest and incarceration data from Florida, New York, and Texas. In Texas, for instance, 116 people are currently serving life sentences on charges of simple drug possession. 7 of those earned their sentences for possessing quantities of drugs weighing in between 1 gram and 4 grams, or less than a typical sugar packet. That's because Texas also has a habitual offender law, allowing prosecutors to seek longer than normal sentences for people who have 2 prior felonies. In 2015, more than 78% of people sentenced to incarceration for felony drug possession in Texas processed under a gram, the report found. Wow. More than 78% of people sentenced to incarceration for felony drug possession in Texas possessed under a gram. That is insane. This is Q with marijuana.ga. Again, this is a Washington Post report. I don't really know why they're coming out with this. Washington Post is not historically in favor of, cannabis or medical marijuana reform. It's interesting, but it's really an indictment on society. Outside of the race issue, which is a result. It's an afterthought, because first it's the prohibition on marijuana cannabis. If there was no prohibition on that, there would be no stats, good or bad, with regards to arrest. Doesn't matter what race they were, what color they are, what socioeconomics their backgrounds they are, their past histories with other unrelated felonies, or the fact they didn't have other related felonies. It's insane. Between 1 to 4 grams, and you tell that to people, it's about the weight of a sugar packet. It's insane. People's lives being destroyed. It's insane as well, because people like Hillary Clinton, people have had their lives destroyed for less than a fifth of what she's done. Bill Clinton didn't inhale, but he possessed it at that moment. He gets to be president. His wife is trying to be president. Hillary Clinton also too is just, if you look at the other videos, has just been found to have through WikiLeaks, through the hack of Podesta's emails, showing that she was telling bankers that she had a two-faced approach to politics. Excuse me. One is a private policy, and one's a public policy. She said it quite clearly. Also, too, for cannabis reform or marijuana legalization, the decriminalization of marijuana, she said that publicly that her position would be no. Check out the video. And she was talking to Xerox executives and Wall Street bankers. It's the honest to God truth. Okay, this is Q with breaking marijuana.ga. That's HTTP marijuana.ga. Please like and share. You'll find links and some of the article in the description and the link to our home site. Again, I want to thank you very much. Cheers.